Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Milliken booth here at the K Show. We're very grateful that you have actually made time today to come here. We know you're all busy. The K Show is very busy, and finding the time to come and sit here must be you must be giving up something else. So that we appreciate that very much. This is one of Milliken's Tech Talks, and the Tech Talks are events in which we invite a number of experts to come and talk on topics that highlight or explain more about Milliken's efforts to advance new solutions for the future. It's collaboration, it is the way that the company works inside the company, but also outside. And this afternoon, we have two experts for you. We have Justin Woods, who is Vice President for Strategic Partnerships at the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. And Mr. Wood, or Justin, if I may call you Justin,
Please, yeah.
he is an economist. Not something that you would expect here at the K, but he is an economist and he has vast experience structuring public and private collaborations to advance innovation. So somebody who really knows what it's all about. Another person who knows what it's all about is Dr. Scott Trenner. He is principal scientist at Milliken, and he's been in polymer science for more than 20 years. You didn't come to see me, so can I hand over to you, Justin, and ask you to talk about the Alliance to End Plastic Waste? Thank you.
Thank you, Willem, and hello to all of you. Thank you for joining us today. So as you heard, I work for the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, and really wanted to share with you a little bit about our organization, what we're doing, and how it sort of connects to the theme of this talk, which is about harnessing collective intelligence to solve plastic waste challenges. And that's really what we're all about, that sort of collective intelligence. So let me start by just talking a little bit about the problem. I think all of you are familiar with the plastic waste challenge. We know that already the world is producing a tremendous amount of plastic. And if you look to the future, we're going to be producing a lot more. And the challenge we face is that that plastic is leaking into the environment. And of course, we need to stop that. So plastic waste is an environmental challenge. But the way we think about it is that it's actually also a huge economic opportunity. There's value, we know, in plastic waste, which currently is being lost to our economy because we're not managing it well. So if we can keep this plastic in our economy rather than losing it, and we can extract that value, then there's huge opportunity here. It's not just a challenge, it's an opportunity. And there are various estimates, but people reckon it's about $120 billion a year on the current basis. So that's what we're trying to do, manage the challenge and capture the opportunity. So the Alliance was set up at the beginning of 2019 in order to do both of those things. It's set up, founded by the private sector. So there were 27 founding companies. They came together because they could see that the challenge and the opportunity were not being managed well. And they wanted to set up an organization that could try to do new things in different ways to prevent that leakage and to capture the value in plastic waste. So we started with 27 companies. Today we have grown. We have 73 companies. And they come from right across the plastic value chain. So we have the resin producers, we have the converters, we have the brand owners, we have the retailers, the recyclers, the waste managers. And we've deliberately set this up not to represent any particular industry sector, but to represent the challenge and all of the actors that are involved in the circular economy. We set ourselves up. If you look around the world, there are plenty of organizations already focused on plastic waste. And a lot of those organizations are doing things like policy development and thought leadership and encouraging companies to make public pledges and commitments. And all of that work is extremely valuable. But the Alliance was set up to do something a little bit different. We wanted to be focused on action and investment. So the founding companies set this goal of raising significant capital that we can use to invest into projects that can show new solutions, new ideas, new technologies, new business models that can address this challenge. So that's what we're doing. So far, we have raised just over $1.2 billion since we started, and we're investing that money into a portfolio of projects around the world. We have just over 50 projects all over the globe. So we describe ourselves not as a think tank, but as a do tank, because we are trying to use our capital to show which solutions are viable, which solutions work. And if they do work, then we want to share them with the world. And if they don't work, then of course, that still serves a purpose, because we know that that's not something we want to follow. Our projects are focused on delivering impact. And we have two main metrics for showing whether we're delivering impact: the kilotons, or thousands of tons per year of plastic waste collected, and the kilotons of plastic waste recycled. And you can see in here, this chart here, the performance. Because our projects have a long lead time, you have to do baseline data analysis, you have to do feasibility studies, there's a construction and engineering period. Our projects take time to come online. So we've been working on our projects since we started, but it's really only this year that they're starting to deliver this impact in terms of kilotons collected and kilotons recycled. But as we go into the future, you can see that those metrics are going to rise significantly. This is just our current portfolio of projects, the 50 odd that we're already investing into. Of course, we'll be investing into many more in the future. So this impact will keep rising. This is how we judge whether our projects are being successful. Are they collecting plastic in significant volumes? Are they recycling it in significant volumes? But of course, we cannot solve this problem alone. We're far too small and our capital's too limited. So our goal is really to show what solutions work, what business models work, what technologies are useful in solving this. And when we discover good projects that work well, we then want to share it with the rest of the world so that they can scale it, they can replicate it. So we're not trying to solve this single-handedly, but we are trying to show what works. I should stress that we are a charity set up in the US, although we're headquartered in Singapore. We're a 501c3 charity. And so we're not looking to make a financial return from our projects. We're looking to just really show and demonstrate and de-risk new ideas for solving this. Of course, our projects themselves have to be economically viable. They have to be able to fund themselves. We don't want to be on the hook with charitable spending forever, but we ourselves are not looking to make a profit from this. So this is the set of companies currently in the Alliance. You can see that there is representation from right across the value chain, the chemical makers, the brand owners, the converters, the waste managers, and so on. And our goal is to bring them together and to really help them to collaborate and develop new ideas that one industry on its own wouldn't be able to do. If we have the full value chain there, we should be able to develop new ideas, and that's exactly what we're doing. So what about the types of projects that we're investing into? This is a sort of a simple conception of what a circular economy looks like. We've identified various gaps around the circle. We call them circularity gaps that are holding back a circular economy. So the design gap, for example, is about the design of materials and products to make them more easily recyclable. The quantity gap is about the fact that in many parts of the world, we're not collecting the waste in sufficient quantities for a circular economy to work. The quality gap is about what do you do once you have collected the waste? How do you sort it better? How do you recycle it more efficiently? There is the affordability gap, because we know that the economics of a circular economy still remain very challenging in many parts of it, particularly around collection. So what are the new business models that will address these challenges? There's alignment gap, there's data gap. So all of our projects are focused on one or more of these gaps. And we have two main types of project. We have very big scale projects, which we call flagships. And then we have niche small ones, which we call solution building blocks. The flagship projects are about bringing impact at national or industry scale. And the solution building blocks are about trying to prove or demonstrate a new technology that's still very early stage. And I'll just end by giving you an example of both of those. This is one of our flagship projects in Indonesia. And about 2 years ago, we started investing into a small project on the island of Bali, small community, 150,000 people, They had no waste collection whatsoever. They were burning it in their backyards or on the streets or dumping it in the river. We worked with the local community to design a waste collection system that is now collecting their waste. It's funded entirely by the local community in two ways. One is the sale of recycled materials that's collected, and the other one is a household collection fee, $1 a month from each household. So we learned a lot of lessons from that for creating a sustainable, economically viable waste collection system for a community. We're now scaling it to 3 regencies on the island of Java. And these regencies together have a population of 6.5 million people. We have earmarked $77 million to build waste collection at scale for these regencies that currently don't have any. So this is going to be a really impactful, large-scale project. When it's fully up and running, it'll be collecting 800,000 tons of municipal waste a year, of which 140,000 tons will be plastic. And of course, we're putting in not just the collection and the sorting, but also the systems for then recycling it and using it again. So that's a flagship project. And I'll just end with an example of a solution building block, a smaller idea. This is a project called Holy Grail. Many of you may be familiar with it. It's being developed here in Europe. And the idea is about trying to improve the sorting of plastic waste when they go through material recovery facilities, or MRFs. And the technology is digital watermarks. They're invisible to the human eye, but they can be embedded into product labels so that when they go through a waste processing center, the scanners can read the watermarks, identify the product, the plastic type, and separate it, so you get very high quality, well-sorted waste streams coming out of these waste processing centers. So the technology was developed in a lab. We have then provided a $6 million grant to prove that the technology works in a commercial industrial setting. We're doing it in the city of Copenhagen in Denmark. Those tests have done very well, and now we're crafting a strategy for continent-wide adoption for this technology. And this will significantly improve the sorting of waste and therefore improve the ability for us to recycle the waste. So let me stop there, just a sort of flavor of how we're thinking about collective intelligence, collective action, collaboration, and bringing together the different parts of the value chain to work on new ideas, technologies, and solutions. Let me hand over to Scott.
Thank you, Justin. Great. So with that introduction, I just want to talk a little bit about Milliken, how we started this journey with the Alliance, and how our interests overlap with theirs, right? So, we're a privately held company. We have about 8,000 people worldwide. We're really experts in material science. Most of the folks in this conference center know us from our plastics additives, but we're experts in material science for textiles, floor covering, and other applications. So as we think about our sustainability goals, and one of the reasons we joined the Alliance, it's really around people, product, and planet. And I think Justin kind of nailed all 3 of those in one slide with that Jabrana in Java, right? So people, we're improving people's lives by not burning waste, by collecting waste, giving them a more suitable way to live. We're giving them jobs. I think it was 4,500 jobs were shown up there. Product, we're advancing circularity by collecting that plastic waste that would have been burned or landfilled. And planet, well, by not burning plastics, by not burning materials, we're improving that. So, sustainability is really at our culture. It's at the foundation of our culture. And, it's kind of easy to say that, right? You walk around the booths here, and I don't think there's one booth that doesn't have some sort of leaf or something about sustainability on it. But going back in our history, we were founded in 1865. Our first recycling policy was in 1902, so 120 years ago. So this is something that we've been working on for a long, long time. And then more recently, our net zero commitment to reduce our scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions by 2050 to zero. So one testament to that is our recent gold EcoVadis score, up from silver from last year. I assure you we're working on platinum for next year, so we'll keep working through those things. Net zero by 2050, so we had a tech talk on this earlier in a press release yesterday, really driving down our emissions to enable our customers and others in the supply chain to drive down their emissions to get to a net zero climate. So where all these collaborations fit is driving innovation and driving innovations across the supply chain. So kind of as a snapshot of some of the collaborations that we're in. So obviously we have the Alliance at the top, and really they could probably be the entirety of this, right? Because they're working in sorting, collection, reprocessing, and market development. Justin mentioned the design gap. So I lead a design team globally for the Alliance, and that's one of the areas that we work together in. We've also co-authored some scientific papers, both with academics and industry, on plastic needs, so that it's not us in industry talking to ourselves about what we need. It's really engaging academics in industrial and national labs that work in this space. And then finally, part of our commitment to the Alliance is to invest in other systems, other technologies. So a couple or a few that we've touched on and that we're investing to improve on circularity. So there's Pure Cycle for the quality gap that we need to work on. The Holy Grail we mentioned earlier. The recycling partnership is for the quantity gap, or at least part of the quantity gap. And that's where we're investing in sortation equipment at MRFs in North America to pull polypropylene specifically out of the recycle stream where it's not currently being pulled. And then the other gap that I don't know that we've really touched on is the human gap, right? So we could come up with all the greatest technologies, all the best uses for recycled material, but if we can't get people to put the plastics or aluminum or glass in the right bin, it's not going to get recycled. And that's a center that we started with the Recycling Partnership along with the Walmart Foundation to really dive in on best practices on what makes somebody want to recycle, what prevents them from recycling now. It's North America focused, but I think the learnings there will kind of spread across Europe and it would be useful elsewhere. So with that, I just want to thank you for your time and looking forward to answering questions, and thanks for chatting with me.
That's a pleasure.
I have a couple of questions, and the first one actually is, Justin, is it really possible to end all plastic waste? And if it is, then great. If it isn't, where would you say, what would still be acceptable?
Well, that's certainly our ambition, is to sort of help the world onto a course where we have zero plastic waste. Clearly, to get to absolutely zero is going to be extremely hard and take a very long time, particularly as, of course, there's diminishing returns to the closer you get to zero, the more and more it costs to do that. But if we can successfully demonstrate that there is value in plastic waste, and if we can create economically viable systems that address it, then there's no reason why we can't get extremely close. And that's certainly our ambition, is to get as close as we can.
Would you consider chemical recycling as an option?
Absolutely. I mean, we think that there is a critical role for both mechanical recycling and chemical recycling. And depending on the application and the type of plastic and so on and so forth, different ones will be the better option. So for us, both of them will be part of the solution, both chemical and mechanical.
The one question that I'm sure the audience has in their minds is, can anybody else join the Alliance?
Yeah, absolutely. And anybody who wants to join is extremely welcome. All of our members do come from some part of the plastic value chain, as you would expect, but we are certainly open to anyone who is interested in joining us.
And with that, I would like to open up to the floor. Maybe there's someone here who has one or more questions.
So I imagine you're in a position, or would like to be in a position, to accept more projects. How does that all work?
So the projects that we fund, some of them are developed by our own team, our own staff. Some of them are ideas suggested to us by our member companies. And many of them are ideas that are suggested to us by external parties. So we have governments coming to us with ideas. We have entrepreneurs, innovators. We have other companies and communities. We are always open to good ideas. A lot of them get rejected if they don't meet our sort of selection criteria. But we're very open to accepting all ideas, absolutely.
No, and I'll add to that. There's a project that's beginning in Houston, Texas now, where two competitors in the polyolefin space are getting together to improve the recycling recovery rate in Houston, Texas, which, it's the majority of the petrochemicals in the U.S. are made there, right? So two competitors fierce competitors, I would say, in the market are working together to bring in more recycled material that they could ideally split as feed streams in the chemical recycling process to get that material back and to recycle it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being with us, and maybe see you tomorrow afternoon. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.